Hey, it's Kristen Eykel. I am here at SAND 2017 in beautiful San Jose, and I wanted to introduce you to Dr. Carlos. Now, Dr. Carlos has a very fascinating story that he shared with us over breakfast today, and as a result of not just what you shared, but also what I could feel, I really wanted you to have an opportunity to hear from him because, we all talk about the mystical experience as if it's somewhere over there, as if it's a book we read or a nice little fairy tale, but this man has an actual profound mystical experience that I thought was so beautiful that I really wanted to make sure that we can capture it. So thank you for taking time to chat, and I'd love to hear your story, sir.
Well, let me frame it the following way. A few months ago, I had to take inventory of my life. And I looked at what I've learned. I've studied with the Dalai Lama, I've studied with Sufis, I spent years in Morocco, in and out. I've done all kinds of meditation, and since the 70s I've been teaching. I've done entheogenic work, I've done medical work. And there was one question that I realized that we don't ask, we avoid, and we construct as we construct models and concepts and heady things. And the question is, what's going to happen to me when this is over? What is this really all about? And it was disquieting, to say the least. And what I got from within was clearly peace. Be quiet, be at peace, be tranquil. And I had to usher peace of heart and peace of mind for myself in front of that question. And I'm talking about maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago, without knowing where this was going to lead me.
Interestingly enough.
A week ago yesterday.
A week ago yesterday. Okay.
Yesterday. I was having dinner with my family and some friends, and suddenly I experienced what I never experienced in a lucid state, leaving my body and seeing my body sitting at the table with all these people that were getting more and more nervous.
Yes,
and I was in a beautiful, calm and clear space above myself and higher, looking at this whole scenery, looking at my wife, slapping my face to get me to come back, because then I got the story that I had become pale and not responsive. And indeed, I knew I was not responsive, which was the only quality that I could relate to in this world. The rest was infinite peace and quietness and serenity and clarity, clear space. And as I was looking down, I was seeing the agitation, and I was seeing how she was doing CPR and mouth to mouth and touching my chest and hitting my chest. And there was a cousin of mine there looking for a phone and calling 911. And I had the experience that I was dying, I was leaving. And I realized that I wasn't dying, I was just leaving, I was transcending, but I was dying for those who were
alive,
or so to speak, alive in this dream.
In this dream. Yeah.
So I made a conscious choice, and I learned very much so, because the idea is that when the moment comes, we have to go. And the moment came, and I made a choice to return. And I really turned. I did a turn within this process, and I came back. I came back into a cold cave, which was my body. It was freezing. It was so cold. I was slightly disoriented in this body.
Did it feel as if your body almost didn't fit you?
It fit like a shoe.
Like a shoe. Okay.
Like a shoe.
There, that makes sense. Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. It was like putting it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was cold. It was a cave. It was like a cavern of coldness, which took a while to warm up. I asked for a blanket. They put a blanket around me, and slowly I returned. By the time the paramedics were there, I was fine. I was at peace. And they said, "Do you have any pain?" I said, "I don't have any pain. I never had any pain." They did an EKG, and the EKG showed a heart attack, an MI. And I said, "Your EKG machine is flawed. I did not have a heart attack." They took me to the hospital. In the hospital, they did another EKG. There was no heart attack. There was no anything. And here I am a week later, feeling grateful, feeling that there is only one lesson. There is only one thing that we need to do in this life. We're so full of concepts, we're so full of ideas, we have so many explanations and ideas about the ideas and the theories about the concepts, about the ideas, and the only thing we need to do is generate peace. Peace of heart, peace of mind, and peace for each other. And that implies inner work, constantly, for life and for living, for life and for transcending.
So what I love about what you said is that when you were observing the body, you could see the agitation in the humans down below. But when you were in this journey, in this realm, that all you felt was this deep peace.
Yes.
So using that as the example, and I can now see that you've carried that peace back with you.
Yes.
A different sense of peace. Now, at the same time, you've done decades of work in order to know what it feels like to already hold peace in your body.
Yes.
For somebody who has never done that work, how would they be able to cultivate that feeling of holding peace in their body, not as a concept, but as an embodied experience?
I believe that through whatever gives peace to an individual, I have a very non-sectarian view about this. If prayer brings peace, if a belief system brings peace, if a meditation brings peace, now there's a quality about this peace. Oh, I was going to say it passes all understanding. Mm-hmm. It is not in conflict with any viewpoint. It is okay if you think one way or if you think another way, as long as it generates peace.
That, I think, is really what's crucial, is because I know that we have on this planet so much dogma, so much attachment to the rules, and this is how it has to be, and this all this crazy stuff that we make ourselves anxious about in the quest for peace.
And we kill for peace.
And we kill for it.
And we spend our budget in defense. In order to have peace, we create mortiferous weapons. And that I saw in this previous experience about 2 months ago, in which the worst thing that we can do on this planet is invest in weaponry. The worst thing is to put money and invest our energy
and the intention around it,
around the persecution of the other as an enemy. Because we have this erroneous vision that the other is a threat to our life, to our survival, and therefore we need to do something to protect and to destroy.
Ahead of time.
And the budget of militarism is tremendous.
It's enormous. So I have a question for you then. If peace is the practice, and the intention, as we were seeing here in this conference today, the intention is what generates the universe, right?
Yes.
Intention is what generates our universe. Then the intention of the warness within those who actively still believe it, how do we override that belief system to create the intention of peace?
Through education and through inner work. Through being an example of it and through sharing it. We can't impose it because it won't work.
Then that wouldn't be peaceful.
It wouldn't be peaceful.
That would be forceful.
Exactly. And it needs to be spread more than as a concept and a construct, as an experience and an acceptance that we don't need to justify our existence with fantastic theories about reality. Because the theories of today, the language of today, is only circumstantial. You know, Sanskrit and Hebrew did not transform the nature of living thousands of years ago when the interpretation of reality was in those languages. Neither is modern mathematics or quantum mechanics going to change the nature of our existence. It is only a moment in this long, long evolutionary process.
A moment that tries to describe an infinite awareness.
But I think we try to do so many things because we don't want to confront the question of our end.
There it is.
And we want to be immortal. Therefore we make beliefs and make books and make theories and make so many things to immortalize ourselves. But rest assured, we are already immortal in our essential self. And when we get that, it is really a peaceful experience for the heart, that even though it might stop beating, we are. And you know, in my work, I've spent decades learning and teaching this. I've been the messenger of peace of the UN for 30 years, and it's only been in the last few weeks that I realized this is what it means. This is what it means. I went around the Eastern Bloc in the 80s preventing the nuclear war that then was so imminent. I worked in the Reagan Institute of Peace in the Senate of the United States talking about peace, and now I know what that meant.
And why you had to be there.
And why I had to be there. It was an embodiment of an experience that slowly has been creating almost like a niche within myself to be able to truly accept transcendence, not as a theory, not as a getting out of the samsaric wheel, not as a model, but for real.
You know, one of the concepts that was shared this afternoon, which I thought was really quite beautiful, is that God is not the beginning, God is the end. And so we are in this process of evolutionarily coming to the God is all that is. Not because God was and we've separated from, but because God is the journey into. And that seems like what you're saying, that the peace was that journey into.
Right. And when we say God, religion comes up, and that's not the copyright for existence. We have been kidnapped into so many beliefs that end up being antagonistic to each other. Everybody says peace. The Muslims say salam, the Jews say shalom. Everybody says peace in every tradition, and the armaments go up and up and up.
And yet there's less peace.
And there's less peace, there's war, there's destruction, there's killing. We need to stop this idea that by destroying another, we will survive.
So question then, how does war serve the effort for people becoming aware of what peace means? Do you think that it's, and I don't mean war in terms of something coming, but I mean that sense of warlikeness within ourselves already, that we have to experience that in order to know what the antidote feels like? How do you think they serve each other?
I don't think that there's a duality there. Oh, curious.
We're at the NonDuality Conference, so that would be why.
It is not a duality. War is a mental exercise to justify the survival of separate identity.
So why do we need the separate identity? What purpose do you think that serves, that we struggle so much to contain it and to keep it?
Because we're ignorant of the real identity.
That real identity of peace.
Yeah.
And of the love that is within them.
Exactly.
So your experience of being in that sense of peacefulness, you still had that sense of your own identity intact?
Yes, of the witness.
The witness.
The witness. Not the small story of my biography. That was very interesting because one of the things that was very clear was that I don't take anything with me.
Right? It's one of the things we talk about a lot, is that everything is borrowed.
Everything is this for now.
Is borrowed.
Yes.
This is borrowed.
It's borrowed. The assets are borrowed. The titles are borrowed. Everything is interim, is impermanent. It's happening while it's happening. Nice, enjoy it. But it doesn't transcend. But we transcend. And building pyramids won't make us transcend.
Although they're awfully pretty to visit.
Maybe. If you don't smell.
Exactly. It's not as pretty as it used to be, that's for sure. That's for sure. Thank you for that story.
So
thank you for that moment, and thank you for that message and that messenger. And I always believe we're always exactly where we need to be. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe we're always on our appointment. So it was my appointment to have breakfast with you this morning, and I'm so grateful that you shared this appointment with me, and that anybody else who's going to witness this may have a recognition or an understanding, or it may spark that awareness of, yes, I'm on the right path. Yes,
Absolutely.
This is the light at the end of the tunnel. So do keep on the path, because it is the way of being.
And it affects us all.
It affects us all.
Yeah.
In that big fabric, that big field.
That we're together.
That we're together. See, and we're together. Thank you, Dr. Carlos. Oh my goodness, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being present. Sat Nam.